Chapter 1. The days blurred together, each one a mirror of the last. I tried my best to fit into this new life, to wear the crown with grace, to speak with authority, but inside, I felt like a stranger. It wasn't the grandiose halls or the whispers of courtiers that unnerved me. It was him, my husband, my king, the man I was supposed to share my life with, but whose coldness left me more isolated than ever. He hardly spoke to me. When he did, it was brief, formal, and always centered around matters of the kingdom. There were no tender moments, no late-night talks, no stolen glances. There was only the weight of duty pressing down on us both, and so I endured. Every night, I lay in the bed beside him, the space between us an unbearable chasm. He never reached out, never touched me, and with each passing day, the loneliness grew. I could feel the walls around my heart beginning to build, stone by stone. But the thing that pained me most wasn't the absence of physical intimacy, it was the absence of any kind of connection. I could never understand why he was so distant. He wasn't cruel, no, not at all. He was always polite, always proper. But that was the problem. He was too polite. His politeness kept me at arm's length, reminding me that this was nothing more than a political arrangement. There was no room for warmth or affection in our marriage. No room for love. In the evenings, after the council meetings and royal duties were done, I often found myself wandering the halls of the palace, lost in my thoughts. Sometimes I would stand by the windows, looking out at the moonlit garden below, wondering what it would be like to be loved, to be held, but that wasn't my reality. My reality was a kingdom that required me to be queen, and a husband who didn't want me as a wife. Tonight, as I prepared for bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. There was a strange, magnetic pull in the air, something I couldn't quite place. Perhaps it was my own growing frustration with the situation. Maybe it was just the weight of my own desires, beginning to fester beneath the surface. I wasn't sure, but when I looked at him as he stood by the fireplace, the faint glow of the fire casting shadows across his sharp features, I felt something stir deep within me. I didn't know what it was, but it was like a flicker of heat in an otherwise cold room. He glanced at me briefly, his expression unreadable, before turning away. I wanted to say something, to break the silence that had settled over us like a heavy blanket. But the words caught in my throat, and instead, I was left standing there, aching for something I couldn't name. Another night passed, cold and lonely. But somehow, I couldn't help but feel like this wasn't the end. There was something more to this, something waiting beneath the surface, and I would find it one way or another. Chapter 2. The days continued to stretch on in their silent monotony. I attended court functions, gave speeches, and performed my duties as queen with the practiced grace of someone who had been trained for this role her entire life. But when it came to him, my king, there was nothing but silence. He maintained his distance, always just out of reach. It was like I existed in a different world, his world, but not a part of it. I had learned to adjust, to put on the mask of a dutiful queen. But beneath the surface, the yearning remained. I didn't know what I wanted from him. All I knew was that I couldn't stand the coldness that seemed to hover between us like an impenetrable fog. Every morning, I would wake to the sound of the birds outside our window, the light of dawn slowly creeping in, and there he would be, already up. Already working, his focus entirely on matters of the kingdom. There was no good morning, no smile, not even a glance in my direction. Just business, and every night the same thing. We shared a bed, but it felt like two strangers living in the same house. He was always polite, always careful not to cross any lines, but never once did he let his guard down. He never held me, never kissed me, never looked at me the way a husband should look at his wife. The first time I thought I saw something, maybe even the first time I thought I felt something from him, was the night of the grand banquet. We were standing together, exchanging pleasantries with foreign dignitaries, when his hand brushed mine. A slight touch, barely noticeable, but it sent a jolt through me. For the briefest moment, I thought I saw his eyes flicker with something, desire maybe? But it was gone in a heartbeat, replaced by his usual unreadable expression. I tried to brush it off. Maybe I was imagining things. Maybe I was so desperate for any sign of affection that I'd read too much into something so small. But the heat that had surged through my body in that split second lingered long after the touch was gone. The next morning, as we stood together in the courtyard, I caught him staring at me from the corner of my eye. His gaze was intense, more intense than I'd ever seen it before. My heart skipped a beat, and for a moment, I thought that maybe he was actually seeing me not as a queen, not as a political pawn, but as a woman. But just as quickly as the thought crossed my mind, he turned away, his face blank again, like nothing had happened. It was maddening. I didn't know what to think anymore. Was he interested in me? Or was I simply a source of irritation to him? My mind raced with questions, but none of them had answers. All I knew was that the distance between us was only growing, and with it, the ache in my chest. That night, I stood in front of my mirror, staring at my reflection. I looked like a queen, graceful, poised, untouchable, but inside, I felt anything but. I felt as if I were slowly disappearing, fading into the coldness that had become my reality, but something told me that this would change soon. The tension between us was undeniable. It hung in the air, thick and heavy, like a storm waiting to break. And I couldn't help but wonder, when it finally did, would I be ready? Chapter 3. 2 weeks had passed since the banquet, and despite the tension that swirled between us, nothing had changed. If anything, it felt like the distance between us had grown even wider. The king continued to go about his duties with the same cold precision, his focus unwavering, while I was left to navigate my own thoughts, my own desires. In isolation, I spent my days surrounded by courtiers, advisors, and servants, but none of them could fill the void that his indifference had carved out in my heart. His coldness was suffocating. I longed for something more, anything more. But all I received was polite distance, a polite rejection of what could be. It wasn't that I wanted to push him into something he wasn't ready for. No, I wanted him to come to me, to break down the walls he had so carefully built around himself. I wanted him to see me, truly see me, not as a queen or a political pawn, but as a woman who desired his touch, his affection. And then, one evening, a small but significant shift occurred. I had finished my evening duties and sought the comfort of the royal bath, a moment of solace, a rare occasion when I could be alone with my thoughts. The water was warm, scented with roses and jasmine, and as I sank into the tub, I closed my eyes, letting the warmth seep into my tired muscles. But the peace didn't last. I heard the faintest sound, a creak of the door, the softest footstep on the marble floor. My heart skipped. I wasn't expecting anyone. It was too late for servants to be wandering about. I opened my eyes, and there he stood, my husband. His tall frame was silhouetted against the doorway, the faint light from the hallway spilling into the room. His eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment, neither of us moved. It was as if time itself had frozen, the world outside our small bubble ceasing to exist. I quickly covered myself with my hands, my cheeks flushing with embarrassment. You shouldn't be here," I stammered, my voice trembling. I wasn't sure what to do, how to react. This was the first time he had ever entered my private space without invitation. He didn't immediately respond. His gaze stayed fixed on me, a flicker of something in his eyes, something that wasn't cold, wasn't detached. There was heat there, a smoldering intensity that I couldn't ignore. The air between us crackled with unspoken words, unsaid desires. "I tried to leave you alone," he finally muttered, his voice rough, almost reluctant. "But you keep tempting me." The words hit me like a bolt of lightning, a mixture of confusion, desire, and something else I couldn't place. Tempting him? Was that what I was doing? Was it possible he felt something, anything, for me, beyond the obligation of our marriage? I felt my heart race, my breath quicken. The warmth of the bath was no longer enough to cool the sudden heat that had flooded my body. I wanted to say something, to ask him what he meant, but the words escaped me. Instead, I just stared at him, searching his expression for some hint, some clue as to what was going on inside his mind. But all I saw was the same unreadable mask. Yet, for the first time, there was a flicker of something more beneath it. Something raw, something real, and I couldn't help but wonder, was this the beginning of something more? Or was it just a fleeting moment that would slip away as quickly as it had come? Chapter 4. The days that followed were a blur, but I could never forget that moment. His words echoed in my mind long after the incident in the bath. "You keep tempting me." What had he meant by that? It was impossible to ignore the heat in his eyes, the vulnerability in his voice. For the first time, I wondered if he was holding back, not out of duty, but because he was unsure. But unsure of what? Was he as afraid of the feelings between us as I was? Or was it something else entirely? I could feel the change in the air, like the world was holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable. The tension between us was no longer something I could pretend not to notice. Every glance, every moment in his presence was charged with something I couldn't explain. That night, I found it difficult to sleep. The bed, which had once been so large and cold between us, now felt unnervingly small. I turned and tossed, unable to settle. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face, those eyes that seemed to burn with something untold. He had only spoken a few words, but they had undone something in me. I needed answers. I needed to understand what this thing between us was. The uncertainty was driving me mad, and yet a small part of me, something deep and buried, wanted it. I wanted to feel that heat again. As the hours passed, I found myself drawn to the window, the soft glow of moonlight spilling into the room. I stared out into the garden, the cool breeze brushing against my skin. The palace felt distant, the world outside, even more so. It wasn't until I heard a soft knock at the door that I realized how tense I had become. I froze for a second, wondering if I had imagined it. But the knock came again, louder this time. "Alina?" His voice, deep and rough, cut through the quiet of the night. I swallowed hard, my heart racing as I stood up. Was this truly happening? Was he standing outside my door at this hour? For a moment, I almost convinced myself to ignore him, to pretend that I was still untouched by the intensity of our unspoken connection. But I couldn't. Not anymore. I walked to the door, my steps measured, my pulse quickening with every movement. I opened it just a crack, enough to see him standing there, his posture stiff, but his eyes softer than I had ever seen them. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice almost tentative. My throat went dry. I nodded, stepping back to let him in, not sure what would happen next, but knowing that I couldn't keep pretending that things were fine. He stepped inside, his presence filling the room like a storm. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. We stood there in silence, as if both unsure of how to navigate the growing storm between us. And then, as though the dam had broken, he spoke again. "I didn't expect you to be this," he said, his words stumbling out. "I've tried to stay away, tried to keep my distance, but I can't ignore it anymore. You tempt me in a way I didn't anticipate." My breath caught. The words were simple, but they carried so much weight. I felt a warmth flood through me, the rush of emotion overwhelming. He was admitting it. He was finally admitting that there was something between us. "Why didn't you say something before?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, but the question was out before I could stop myself. He ran a hand through his hair, his frustration palpable. "I was afraid. I didn't want to bring you into this. I didn't want to risk everything we've built." His eyes met mine, intense and full of something I could no longer ignore. "But every day, every hour, it gets harder to resist you, Alina." His words sent a jolt through me. My heart raced, and suddenly, the distance between us seemed impossibly small. The tension that had been building for so long now felt like a live wire, sparking with energy. We were on the edge, and I could feel it. A choice had to be made. Would we keep pretending, or would we let this thing, whatever it was, finally unfold? Before I could speak, he stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. I felt his breath on my skin as he leaned down slightly, his lips just inches from mine. And in that moment, I knew that whatever happened next, it would change everything between us. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. But just as I did, he pulled back, his expression unreadable again. "I'm sorry," he murmured. his eyes flashing with something unreadable. "I don't want to rush you. I don't want to make you uncomfortable." I shook my head, the weight of his apology sinking in. "You're not making me uncomfortable," I whispered, stepping closer to him. "But we can't keep dancing around each other like this." The air between us was thick, charged, as though it could explode at any moment. I was tired of waiting, tired of holding back. "Then let's stop pretending," I said, my voice low and steady. "Let's see where this goes." His gaze softened, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of hope in his eyes. We were no longer two strangers in a marriage of convenience. No, tonight, something had shifted. And maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of something neither of us could control. Chapter 5. The palace was quiet, too quiet. As the doors to my chamber closed behind him, the stillness between us was deafening. He stood there, just a few feet away, and yet his presence felt like a flame against my skin. The air crackled, tense and electric. I didn't dare speak. I couldn't. Not yet. He moved first. His steps were slow, hesitant at first, then more certain. The look in his eyes was no longer unreadable. It was molten, dark with need, tempered by restraint. I could see the war raging behind his gaze. He wanted me, but he didn't want to rush me. I appreciated that, even as my body ached for him to do the opposite. My breath hitched when he stopped in front of me, so close that if I reached out, I could touch him. But I didn't move. I was frozen in place, waiting, daring him. "You make it so hard to stay away," he murmured. I tilted my head up, meeting his gaze. "Then stop staying away." He exhaled, ragged and rough, and lifted a hand, brushing his fingers against my cheek. It was the first time he'd touched me like this, and my body responded instantly. I leaned into the contact, craving more. "You don't know how long I've wanted to hear you say that," he whispered. "Then show me," I said, heart pounding. His mouth crashed into mine like a wave breaking through a dam, unleashing everything we had both been holding back. The kiss wasn't gentle. It was desperate, consuming. His arms wrapped around my waist, pulling me flush against him, and I gasped at the intensity of it. Every nerve lit up. Every inch of me screamed for more. I tangled my fingers in his hair, deepening the kiss. His hands roamed my back, strong but reverent, like he was memorizing me. It wasn't just passion, it was years of loneliness, weeks of tension, and the fear that had kept us apart, all melting into this single, scorching moment. We broke apart only when breath became necessary. He rested his forehead against mine, both of us panting. "I want you," he said, voice hoarse, "but I'll stop if you're not ready." That was the thing. Maybe I hadn't been before. But now I was burning. "I don't want you to stop," I whispered. His lips found mine again, slower this time, but just as intense. And as he guided me gently toward the bed, my last thought before surrendering to the moment was simple. This marriage might have started as a duty, but tonight it was all desire. Chapter 6. The morning sun filtered in through the velvet curtains, painting golden stripes across the silk sheets twisted around our limbs. I woke to warmth, not just the comfort of the bedding, but the solid heat of his body beside mine. His arm was draped across my waist, his face inches from mine, more relaxed than I'd ever seen it. Last night had been transformative. It wasn't just about passion, though there had been plenty of that, slow and hot and breathless. It was about letting go, about giving into something we'd both denied for too long. For the first time since our wedding, I didn't feel like a stranger lying in a stranger's bed. I studied his face in the morning light. Without the weight of his crown or the cold mask of duty, he looked younger, softer, beautiful in a rugged, unfair way. My hand moved before I could stop it, brushing a strand of hair from his brow. He stirred, lashes fluttering, then slowly opened his eyes. When he saw me, a lazy smile touched his lips, so rare, so unguarded, it made my breath catch. "Good morning, wife," he murmured, voice thick with sleep. "Morning," I whispered back, unsure how to act now that the lines had blurred. He stretched slightly, his hand sliding from my waist to my hip. "You're still here," he said, more to himself than to me. "You expected me to vanish with the dawn?" "I don't know," he admitted, eyes searching mine. "I didn't think I deserved for you to stay." The vulnerability in his voice struck me. I hadn't known he doubted himself that way. He always carried himself like a man who had everything under control, but here, in this room, he was just him. "You're my husband," I said simply. "And last night wasn't a mistake." "No," he agreed. "It wasn't." A moment passed in comfortable silence. Then his hand dipped lower, sliding along my bare thigh. The smirk that followed was purely wicked. "We may have unfinished business," he teased, voice darkening deliciously. I bit my lip, already feeling my body respond. Again. He rolled us over with a chuckle, pinning me beneath him. "Alina," he murmured, lips brushing my ear, "I've waited weeks for a single taste of you. Now that I've had it, don't expect me to stop anytime soon." I didn't, and I didn't want him to. Chapter 7. The days that followed were a blur of stolen moments and lingering touches, a feverish rush of emotions I was still trying to process. Every glance, every whisper, every touch between us seemed to set something new ablaze. It was a dangerous game, one where every move we made brought us closer to something we couldn't control. I had been the dutiful wife, playing my part in public, smiling politely at courtiers and attending all the necessary royal functions. But in the privacy of our chambers, we were something else entirely. We were two people lost in a world of yearning, tangled in a web of desire that neither of us seemed able to escape. And yet, for all the passion that had ignited between us, there were moments of distance. Moments where he would retreat behind his walls once again, leaving me to wonder if it had all been a fleeting fantasy. I had no idea what he truly thought of me now, whether I was just a conquest, or if this could become something more. The truth was, I had never been this conflicted in my life. Part of me wanted to give him everything, wanted to pour all of my heart and soul into this new, unexpected connection. But another part of me, an insidious, self-protective voice, whispered that I needed to be careful. The king was unpredictable, and the game we were playing was dangerous. One evening, the tension came to a head. We had just finished dinner, and I was in the process of retiring to my chambers when I heard the unmistakable sound of his boots on the marble floor behind me. Before I could react, his hand found my arm, spinning me to face him. "Alina," he said, his voice low and serious. "We need to talk." A knot tightened in my stomach. Was this it? Was he finally going to push me away? "What is it?" I asked, trying to keep my tone even. He stared at me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. "I've been thinking about us, about what we've done." My pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, running a hand through his hair. "I can't promise you anything. I can't offer you more than this arrangement. But I need you to understand that I don't regret what happened between us. I don't want to hurt you." The words stung more than I expected. I didn't want to hear that. I wanted him to tell me he felt the same, that what we had was more than just a fleeting moment. But I knew better than to force him. I could see the conflict in his eyes, the fear of what he might be getting himself into. "I don't need promises," I said, my voice soft but firm. "I don't expect anything from you. I'm not asking for more than you're willing to give." He looked at me, his gaze softer now, a flicker of something vulnerable passing through his eyes. "I'm afraid I'll never be able to give you what you deserve." My heart ached at the honesty in his voice. "And what do I deserve?" He stepped closer, his hand sliding to my waist, pulling me against him with a quiet intensity. "Everything," he whispered. "You deserve everything. And yet, I'm not sure I can give it." The words hung in the air between us, heavy with unspoken truths. I didn't have an answer for him. I didn't have the right to ask for more, not when he wasn't ready to give it, but what was clear in that moment was this. We were both tangled in something we didn't fully understand. Something that had the potential to burn us both, and still, neither of us could look away. Chapter 8. The days that followed were filled with a mix of frustration and longing. As we tried to navigate the fine line between the affection we shared and the boundaries we had yet to define, there was a constant tension in the air, as though we were both holding our breath, waiting for the other to make the next move. The palace had become a place where every glance, every brush of our fingers, sent waves of heat through my body. I found myself growing restless with each passing day, unable to ignore the deep ache that lingered every time we were near. His presence was like an unspoken promise, a constant reminder of the desire between us, desire that was becoming harder and harder to deny. But even as the passion between us grew, so did the questions. Was this truly a connection born out of need and desire, or was I simply a distraction for him, something to fill the emptiness in his life? And what of me? Was I chasing after a fleeting fantasy, or was I hoping for something more? It was on one of those restless nights that the question came to a head. I had just finished preparing for bed, the soft glow of candlelight flickering across the room, when I heard the faintest knock at my door. I wasn't surprised when I opened it to find him standing there, looking as conflicted as ever. "I can't stop thinking about you," he said, his voice low and raw, as though he had been carrying the weight of those words for far too long. I swallowed, my heart hammering in my chest. "I know. I can't stop thinking about you either." He stepped into the room without waiting for an invitation, closing the door softly behind him. The moment he did, the air seemed to shift, growing thicker, charged with anticipation. His eyes never left mine as he crossed the distance between us, his hand reaching up to brush a strand of hair from my face. The touch was tender, almost reverent, and yet there was something darker behind it, a hunger that made my breath catch. "Then why are we still standing here?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. His lips curled into a faint smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Because I don't know what this is, Alina. And I don't know how to stop wanting you." The words were a confession, a raw admission of vulnerability, and it shattered whatever wall had been between us. My heart raced as I looked up at him, seeing the battle waging in his eyes. He was afraid that giving into this desire would make everything fall apart. Afraid that he couldn't give me what I needed. "I'm not asking for anything more than what you can give me," I said softly, my voice steady, even though every part of me was trembling. "But I can't keep pretending that this doesn't matter, that we don't matter." He hesitated for a moment, his brow furrowing in thought, before he took a step closer, his hand resting lightly on my shoulder. His touch was firm now, confident in a way it hadn't been before. "And if I give you more?" he asked, his breath warm against my skin. I didn't need to answer. The answer was in my eyes, in the way I stepped closer to him, closing the remaining distance between us. I didn't need him to promise me anything. I just needed him to stop holding back. "Then we'll see where this goes," I whispered, my hands moving to his chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart. Together. And that was all it took. In the next moment, his lips crashed down on mine, fierce and urgent. His hands tangled in my hair as he pulled me closer, pressing me against him with a force that took my breath away. The kiss was wild, as though we were both trying to make up for lost time, each movement desperate, as if we were trying to claim what we had both been too afraid to take. But in that kiss, I felt something shift, something break. It was as if we were no longer playing games, no longer pretending. We were finally letting go, giving in to whatever this was between us, and I knew, without a doubt, that nothing would ever be the same again. Chapter 9. The following days passed in a blur of heightened emotions, tension, and the strange new reality we found ourselves in. There was no longer any doubt between us. What had started as a marriage of convenience had become something far more complicated. Passion, desire, and the fragility of our connection hung between us, making every moment feel like a dangerous dance. But for all the fire that burned between us, I could still feel the walls around him. He was still holding something back, some part of himself that he refused to offer. The moments we shared, the stolen kisses, the longing looks, none of it felt enough, because I could sense his hesitation, his fear. He might have admitted that he didn't know what to do with me, but I knew one thing for certain. He wanted me, desperately. And yet, he remained distant in his own way. He was a king, after all, and a king never fully surrendered, not to anyone, not even to his queen. One night, after a long day of ceremonial duties, we found ourselves alone in the garden. The moon hung high, casting silver light over the sprawling grounds. It was quiet here, a brief respite from the chaos of court life. I had been walking along the stone path, thinking when I felt him approach. He stood there in the shadows, watching me as I moved toward him. "You've been avoiding me," I said, not turning to face him just yet, my voice steady despite the anticipation coiling inside me. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped closer, his footsteps soft but purposeful. "I haven't been avoiding you," he said finally, his tone cool but not cold. "I've been giving you space." "I know I'm not what you expected." That was the thing. I didn't expect anything from him. All I wanted was to be seen, to be more than just a duty, a title. But I was starting to wonder if I would ever be able to break through the armor he wore so carefully. "Don't make assumptions about me," I replied, turning to face him. The moonlight illuminated his features, casting his strong jaw and sharp eyes in a silver glow. "I know who you are, Julian, and I've never expected anything more from you than what you're willing to give." He reached out then, his fingers brushing my cheek with a tenderness that made my heart flutter despite the tension that still lingered between us. "You deserve more," he said quietly, his eyes searching mine as though trying to find the right words. "You deserve a man who can give you everything. But I'm not sure I can be that man." The vulnerability in his voice almost broke me. It was rare to hear him speak like this, as though he was questioning his own worth. But I wasn't going to let him get away with it. Not when I had spent so much of my life hiding behind my own walls. "You don't have to be perfect," I whispered, stepping closer until I was inches from him. "You just have to be real with me." His eyes softened, the harsh edge to his expression finally fading. "And if I can't be everything you need, then we'll find out together," I said, my voice firm with conviction. "But don't shut me out, Julian. Not now. Not when I'm here, willing to give you all of me." The silence that followed was thick, laden with unsaid words and unspoken truths. And then, finally, he pulled me into his arms, holding me with an intensity that felt like both surrender and promise. His lips found mine again, this time softer, slower, as if he were trying to understand me, to connect with me on some deeper level. It was enough. For once, I didn't need any more words. Just him and me, in the quiet of the night, allowing ourselves to feel what we had been holding back for so long. We weren't there yet, I knew that. But for the first time since our wedding, I allowed myself to believe that we could get there. Together. Chapter 10. The change was gradual, like morning light creeping through a darkened room. Slow, but undeniable. Julian had always been composed, always so careful with his emotions, as though affection were a luxury he couldn't afford. But lately, something had shifted. In the way he looked at me, in the way he touched me, in the way he lingered, he was falling. And I knew it not because he said it, because he never did, but because his silence had changed. The same man who left me untouched on our wedding night now held me like I was something precious. His lips found my forehead when we passed in corridors. His fingers brushed mine when we dined together. His eyes searched for me when we were apart. The king who once acted like I was a stranger had started to behave like I was his. Tonight, I sat in our shared chambers, brushing out my hair, wearing the silk robe he liked. The fire crackled softly behind me, casting golden shadows across the floor. I didn't expect him to come in. It was late, but something told me he would. And he did. The door opened, and there he was, still dressed in his black embroidered tunic, the collar loose, his hair tousled like he'd run his hands through it too many times. His eyes locked on me, and he stood there in the doorway for a long moment, saying nothing. "I wasn't sure if you'd come tonight," I said softly, placing the brush down. "I tried not to," he murmured, voice low and rough, "but I can't seem to stay away." He walked toward me, slow and deliberate, like a man approaching something sacred. When he reached me, he knelt beside my chair, placing his hand over mine. It trembled. "Alina," he said, my name like a vow. "You terrify me." I blinked. "Why?" "Because you make me want things I told myself I could never have. Peace. A home. You." My breath caught. His hand came up to cut my cheek, thumb grazing the corner of my lips. I thought I could keep this arranged, keep you at a distance. But I failed, he whispered, eyes burning into mine. I've fallen in love with you. I froze, my heart thundering. Say that again. I love you, he said, firmer now. I love you, Alina. And it scares the hell out of me. I smiled, something warm and bright unraveling inside me. Then be scared. Just don't shut me out. He stood, pulling me into his arms, kissing me like it was the first and last time all at once, slow, deep, and endlessly tender. And in that moment, the king didn't just fall. He surrendered. To me. To us. Epilogue. A year had passed since that night. Spring had returned to the kingdom, soft and fragrant, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine and the warmth of renewal. The palace no longer felt like a cold monument of duty, it felt like home. Not because the walls had changed, but because the man who once kept me at arm's length now kept me close, every hour, every day. Julian was no longer just a king to his people. He had become a husband in truth, and with time, something even more rare, a man in love, unashamed and unhidden. I stood on the palace balcony, the wind teasing the sheer fabric of my gown. Below, the gardens stretched out in shades of green and gold, and beyond them, the distant bustle of the capital whispered the rhythms of daily life. Peace had come, not just to the land, but to us. Behind me, I heard his familiar footsteps. He always approached quietly, but I knew the sound of him like a melody I'd memorized by heart. His arms slipped around my waist, and his chin rested lightly on my shoulder. You disappeared on me again, he murmured, voice still husky from sleep. I wanted to see the sunrise, I said, leaning back into his embrace. It reminds me of the first time you kissed me, when everything changed. He chuckled, pressing a kiss to the curve of my neck. Everything changed the moment you entered my life. I was just too stubborn to see it. I turned in his arms to face him. The man who once hid behind duty now looked at me like I was his purpose. His crown was still heavy, but he no longer wore it alone. He let me carry the weight with him. You never told me, I said softly, touching his cheek, why you really stayed away that first night. Julian's gaze turned thoughtful. Because I thought you were too good for me. Too bright, too bold. I thought I'd ruin you. I smiled. Instead, you fell for me. No, he corrected, brushing a kiss over my lips. I rose for you. His hands slid to my growing belly, resting gently. Our child, our future, lay nestled within me. I saw the wonder in his eyes, the fear too, but also the fierce love he'd only ever shown me. You were never just the queen they arranged for me, he whispered. You became the woman I couldn't imagine ruling without, living without, loving without. I kissed him then, not as a royal, not as a duty, but as the woman who had won the heart of her king, and as the sun bathed us in gold, I knew this was the love story we never expected, but always needed. I was his queen, and he was finally, fully mine. Thank you for listening to the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more chaotic moments and unexpected twists. And hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.